Okay, hey guys. I had a request to do this video. This video is how aggression can be tied to spirituality. I got this message from a woman who I had just did a video about talking about how watching baddies had made me more spiritual, made me connected with my higher self more. And she had in the video I had said, I might put it in a clip, but I had just basically said, like, being more spiritual, being your higher self could be telling somebody to shut up. Why don't I care enough for myself to tell them, like, in a nice way, shut up. Like, and she was like, whoa, Luna, I'm gonna need you to dial it back and explain what you're talking about, because how can telling somebody to shut up bring you to your higher self? And that's a very good question, because often when we see things about spirituality, especially on this platform, we see people who are, it's kind of changing. There's a common theme of like being very Gandhi like and stuff like that. That's my favorite polarity, because we have one, neural knowledge, who is very much more a little bit cutthroat, and then Gandhi, very peaceful, no war. When it comes to aggression, she had used the term aggression, but I'm not talking about, I don't think aggression is tied to spirituality. We'll say assertiveness, because that's really the message I was trying to push out. Being assertive, because like I say in that video, baddies had taught me to be more assertive. It had taught me to stand up for myself and not apologize for it, not feel bad for it. When it comes to spirituality, when it comes to religion, when it comes to motivational speakers, I have noticed a common theme of, and this is usually an older way of thinking. So I'd say majority of Gen Z and Gen Alpha will not have this problem, or do not really have this problem. I feel like this is what I'm about to tell you is more so an old-fashioned way of thinking. And that's just because I'd say this generation and Gen Alpha are a lot less religious. So Gen X, millennials, they have been taught to be very passive aggressive. Not even just passive aggressive, but like sometimes just to like forget about that shit, period. I'm sure you see it in movies all the time. And I know I'm saying movies, but like I feel like movies that are in a certain period of time kind of either set the tone or just reflect what the people of that time are actually going through. And during the time of millennials and Gen X, there was just a lot of videos about like just taking the higher road and all this other stuff. Don't stoop to people's levels. And these all sound like great things, but I am here to argue that there are a lot of instances where turning the other cheek, doing what you think is taking the higher road, is fucking up your life, fucking up everything, fucking up what you've built. Like, and let me explain what I mean. Let her cook. There have been times in my life, I always have to bring things to a personal story, because that's the only way that I can talk about something. If they can't bring up a personal, if who you're listening to cannot bring a personal story of what they're talking about or relate to it in some way, they don't really have the credence to talk about it. And that's just me. Basically, growing up, I I talk about my family so much. They gonna have a little attitude. Growing up, I had been my biggest people who would boss me around and really play with me was my family. And it wasn't all like really extreme. Sometimes it was as simple as just telling me what to do and stuff like that. But I've also endured like physical abuse. I've endured mental abuse, verbal abuse, and stuff like that. And as I've become a young adult, just going to therapy and journaling and stuff like that, there was a point in time where I was healing from all this stuff. And I was just being told and also believing that, I should just let everything go. I should just like forgive everybody, forgive and forget, like water under the bridge. It was years ago. I'm on this like level now. I'm on this level of thinking, and they're better people now. Like, we have a better relationship. Boom. That was cool until I had realized that I had a lot of, or not a lot, but I had some passive aggressiveness towards these people, and I didn't even realize it. Like, even when I had told myself, okay, like they're forgiven, it was years ago, it's whatever, it was still in my brain. Like, all these things that were happening were still in my brain. And so this had happened, all this stuff has happened years ago. Like I said, I had decided, you know what, taking the higher road is like killing me a little bit inside. Like, it's making me go a little bit mad because I can't be around these people and not say anything. Like, because it's just eating me alive. It's eating me alive. And so what I had decided to do was literally go around to everybody and like individually and tell them how they fucking traumatized me as a child, how they traumatized me as a teenager, how they traumatized me as a toddler. And that made me feel a lot better. That was a lot more healing for me than just letting go and letting God. Y'all be leaving too much responsibility to God. Y'all be leaving too much responsibility for the universe. At what point are you gonna stand up for yourself, do things for yourself? You can't just expect everything to be okay by just letting people do whatever they want. There are some instances where, maybe it's not that deep and you should just let it go. And these scenarios, I find, should be connected to just random ass people down the street. If somebody bumps into you while you're walking, I am not by any means telling you to go confront that person. Because why? You are wasting your time. You need to just go where you're going, laugh it off, or just like literally cuss them out in your head and keep it pushing. Like, that is a scenario, and there's many others like that it's not that serious. Not that it's not that serious. I'm not going to minimize it, actually, but it benefits you more to just keep it pushing, because one, we don't know these people for real. Two, they don't know you. And three, I'm sure you got more better things to do than sit and talk about something so inconsequential with a nobody. That is really the key right there. It's just, who are you being assertive to, and what is the scenario? Because if it literally is just a random Joe, a random broad down the street, just let it go. Do you know how many people lose their lives by just wanting to be overly assertive? Because that's a thing. When you're like just picking fights with people, like outside your house, outside your friend circle, outside your work environment, like just people you don't know, that's when shit can be dangerous. Very, very dangerous. It's just like you don't know what anybody is capable of. And at a certain point, that's when energy vampires are coming in. Assertiveness is great, but you have to figure out if these people are worth being assertive toward. Okay? Because just bringing up energy vampires, there are people who thrive off your attention, thrive off your assertiveness, thrive off your energy. And so you really have to sit and think like, is this scenario going to empower me or drain me? And here's another scenario, because I know I had said just random people. That's usually the common thread of when like assertiveness is just not necessary. But sometimes these energy vampires can come from people you know. So scenarios of when it's not time to be assertive is with people who thrive on emotional interactions. Like some people literally, like, have you ever met somebody who it seems like all they want to do is argue, or like they always have a problem with somebody? Like some people, believe it or not, because this is about to make them a little bit more humane to you because they sound crazy as hell, but some people were brought up in a emotional environment, whether that be anger or sadness or just complete malice, period. And the way they would get attention from, their caregivers was through something like that, through something negative. And that's how they get energy. Like just kind of feel for these people, because that's a really weird way to feel like you need to get attention from somebody, but these people don't even know. They do it subconsciously. But some of those people can be in your family. Like I've had family members who literally just like want to argue all the time, want to be have a problem with somebody. Like they just feed off that shit. Like, and I don't give them a time of the day. So yeah, that's how I feel like assertiveness is connected to spirituality. It's all about being assertive when you need it. Like you, and you'll know, because when you don't need it, it's when your ego is at play. If your ego really just wants to have like the last say, or like your ego just really feels like you've been done wrong, you have to show them who you are. Like the difference between feeding your ego and feeding your soul when it comes to assertiveness is literally just healing. Will this situation bring you healing? Will this person that you're telling shut up, like after that scenario, will it bring you healing? Will just walking away, will blocking this person bring you healing? Will cussing this person out bring you healing? All outlandish, but some of those scenarios might not. It's all based off of people, but I believe you get it by now about how being assertive, being aggressive even sometimes, will bring you closer to your higher self. It's brought me closer to my higher self plenty of times. And I'm sure it will bring you. It was something that literally had dawned upon me, because like I said, when you grow up in a passive aggressive household, with which most Christians are very passive aggressive, you just like certain things are just taboo to you, and one of them being standing up for yourself, being assertive. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I'm here to heal you and tell you there's absolutely nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with checking somebody. Okay, so I love you guys. I'm gonna see you for the next video. And this is Masterminds, where I teach women to be the master of their own minds. Okay?